Let's be honest. Watching people fail is fun. Flips, falls, crashes, hits.
No!
Admit it, they're funny. Ever wonder why fail compilations have millions of views? It's the same reason why reality TV is so entertaining. We love watching mistakes, unless those mistakes are ours. As our ambition grows, failing becomes more consequential. No one wants to fail in public, and no one wants to be hated. We do everything in our power to be liked. But through weeks of research, I realized something. Misfortune is a tool. It's bait, a flame to a moth, a way to garner attention and power, manipulating the public like a puppeteer. There are 3 steps that powerful use to manipulate us to gain influence through their misfortune. And it's all based off of a single feeling called Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, the satisfaction and pleasure we get from others' failures. We feel empathy whenever someone we care for gets into trouble, but for those who we think aren't so deserving, we are built to enjoy their pain. Our brain utilizes the same reward mechanism for positive reinforcement whenever we view someone else's misfortune, releasing dopamine into our systems. Now, the root cause of it might be jealousy, envy, or low self-esteem, but regardless, we are biologically built to enjoy misfortune. Look at the content we consume. Controversy and negativity sells a hell of a lot better than positivity. The more we can laugh at others and relish in their pain, the more we're willing to pay with our attention and our wallets. Now, because everyone predictably acts like this, you can use it to your benefit. The rich and famous have definitely found ways to utilize a psychological tendency to their advantage, and you can too. Step 1. Become the villain. Floyd Mayweather's undoubtedly one of the greatest boxers of all time. But in the 2000s, he had a very serious problem. No one cared. No one was buying his fights. He was an exceptional talent within the ring, but there was no public interest around him. No interest in him or his journey. He desperately needed the public's attention, a reason for people to tune in and watch his fights. So he changed. Look at his fight with Oscar De La Hoya. Instead of seeking the love and admiration from the fans, Floyd sat out their hate.
You can't be two good guys. I chose to be the bad guy. Fuck it.
I'm gonna beat you till you respect me. I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna make you call me pretty. I'm gonna beat you.
Here we are in the biggest fight of our lives, and you have the pound-for-pound champion of the world acting like out of his mind. He couldn't control himself.
I'm gonna make it a rough and tough fight come May 5th.
I'm so scared.
Hi, my name Oscar De La Hoya. I'm gonna do this. You ain't gonna do shit.
In the end, he became the villain of the story, the person that everyone wanted to see lose. Now, Floyd ended up winning that fight, but his antics continued well into the rest of his career, and millions of people continued to tune in to see him lose. In the end, people paid over $1.6 billion to see Floyd fight. So embrace being the villain, capture their attention, make them focused on your downfall while you progress and succeed. But no villain rises alone, and to truly thrive, you're gonna need allies. Step 2, create your tribe. If you're smart, you will define an identity for yourself, a purpose behind your actions, a mission goal for your life. And as more and more people start to hate, you start to get sympathizers, support from those that share in that same identity. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, so all of a sudden, you now have allies to fight your enemies with. Case in point, the NBA. The association was in deep trouble during the 70s. Viewership was down, drugs plagued the league, and a majority of teams were about to fold. They needed to reignite passion back into the game. Luckily, 2 rising stars joined the league during this time in Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, joining the Lakers and Celtics respectfully. The league took notice of this and intensified the rivalry between both of these teams. Throughout the 80s, marketing from the NBA orbited around the storyline between both of these players, but it expanded well beyond the scope of basketball. Magic versus Larry, gold versus green, Los Angeles versus Boston, celebrities versus blue collars, big smiles versus trash talking. Fans throughout the nation flocked to one of these players, supporting the one that they related with the most. And in fact, the NBA had created in-groups. All sports leagues and fan bases utilize the same sort of tactic to generate more and more attention for their products. The more stories you have with depth, the easier it is to create an identity around it so that others can relate to it. And once you have that, you can then create separate allies and enemies within your product. So that you now have some small portion of influence and power within the population. But getting power was the easy part. Now you gotta keep it. Step 3, keep your enemies. Politicians need to keep enemies alive in order to maintain their political advantage. That's from a research paper from the National Bureau of Economics titled The Need for Enemies, in which the authors analyzed specific municipalities and countries during civil war. What they find is that incumbent politicians have greater support when there is a clear public enemy versus during peacetime. See, you and your opponents are essential to each other. You use them to rally your base, they use them to rally their base, and it's much easier to build your case once the other side has failed. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't push for your advantage once you are in that position of power, but for the day-to-day, be sure to keep your enemies around. You followed all 3 steps. You become the villain of your story. You found your tribe and your identity, and you rallied your base by keeping your enemies around. In short, you're now in a position to do whatever you want. You can enact whatever change you want, or you can spend your days doing nothing. And if you are ever looking for some entertainment, just know that there's a bunch of fail compilations out there ready for your consumption.